in Capitol Hill Books in Denver, where I worked when I was in my 20s. It was at this bookstore where I discovered Sylvia Beach and began my long quest for Sylvia Beach. And I wanted to report on my trip to Paris and my research for my novel, which at first I thought was a boondoggle and a bit of a frivolous thing, but it actually turned out there was a lot of juju for me there. Carrie Walsh, who had compiled Sylvia Beach's letters into a book, just happened to be in Paris when I was there, happened to be reading at Shakespeare and Company bookstore, and I went to hear her read, and it was fabulous.
So she established the bookstore in 1919. Immediately, the lost generation converged upon Paris. Of course, it was a word that she wasn't particularly happy with, as she didn't think that she or her friends were lost. That term somehow stuck. But she had the good fortune to be there when a lot of Americans were coming, of course. So Hemingway was one of her early clients, and he was actually, I think people tend to forget, he was quite young and completely unknown when they met. And so she was the senior party, the one who had the authority, and he really admired her and looked up to her. And they had a very special friendship, the two of them, and you can see it reflected in her memoirs, and you can see it reflected in his memoirs as well, A Movable Feast especially. So she had all these people converging around her, and in the 20s was really the moment in which Shakespeare and Company supported itself financially, was very viable. It really came very easily. And of course Sylvia Beach met James Joyce sometime in this period, and he at this time was having a real difficulty finding someone who would publish Ulysses because of its obscenity. It wasn't able to be published in Britain or the United States. So in a hearty but very brave move, she said, "I'll do it." You know, she wasn't a publisher at all.
I went to the Forum des Images, which is a holding of films, short films, documentary, any kind of image or film that concerns the city of Paris. Okay, so you go into a room like this. Is this a groovy? Am I in a nightclub or am I in a film collection? I'd been there before to do research for my novel, but I went again, and this time the woman who was working there happened to be somewhat of an expert in Paris 1936, 1937. I was able to talk to her about Paris 1937 and find out a little bit about what that time meant, and it was the first time that I talked to somebody about the Front Populaire and what that actually meant for French people and what that actually meant for Parisians. And that gave me a huge understanding of that time and that era that I've never gotten in my research. I had the opportunity to meet again with John Baxter, who is an author and fan of Sylvia Beach. He lives in the building that Sylvia Beach lived in on the Rue de l'Odéon. So I went to his apartment on the top floor. Over a glass of wine, we talked about Sylvia Beach, and he helped me brainstorm ideas for how to make my novel better. And he got really excited when I told him about some of my marketing ideas for Chasing Sylvia Beach, and that really gave me a lot of enthusiasm and ideas.
I've really got to go to Paris, and I've got to know where Sylvia Beach lived and worked. Okay, here I am in Paris. Here's the very shop. Oh, what a pity. It sells dresses now. But is there any sign of Sylvia? You know, where is Sylvia? I asked the dress people. No, who's Sylvia Beach? Never heard of her. Well, what happened to Sylvia? Why did she come to Paris? Well, she came to Paris because she did so-and-so. Okay, if this is Sylvia's shop, where did she live? She lived in this, you mean this very building? Good heavens. You know, and right, so I've never been closer to Sylvia. You know, this is wonderful. And Hemingway?
A friend of mine, my editor, Corinne Brown, introduced me to a friend of hers, Alexandre, who is 86 years old, and I was able to meet with him several times while I was in Paris. I've never had the fortune to meet somebody who lived during the French occupation.
Un ami qui m'a dit je te donne mes papiers, moi je dis que j'ai perdu tous mes papiers, et il m'a donné ses papiers.
I also had the great fortune to meet somebody online. I was online looking for people to hang out with in Paris, and I met this man who turned out to be not such a dating partner, but a great ally for my novel. We walked around Paris for hours and spent hours talking about my novel. He helped me with historical details about the era. He's also helped me a lot with the plot, helping me understand my French male character and how I might be able to make him a better character. We're still talking from Paris to Denver, and he's incredibly helpful, and I can't believe I found this person randomly on an online dating site in Paris, and he would know so much about this era and have such a great sense of story and character and be able to help me with that. Met with Jackie Lofthouse, who's a friend and colleague. She happened to be in Paris also for the Shakespeare and Company Literary Festival, and she has agreed to read my novel. Agent John Talbot has also given me lots of ideas for revision, and my writing buddy David Hicks is also helping me. So I would not have gotten all of that had I not gone to Paris. I think it was well worth the journey and well worth the effort and well worth all the time I spent eating pastries and drinking rosé wine. So now I'm back in Denver. The real work of revision is starting, and I'm going to share with you my revision plan, how I took all of that inspiration, all that great juju from my time in Paris, and I'm putting it into a revision plan. Here's the manuscript. It's a big, fat manuscript. I've got edits from my editor, Corrine, in here. These are the notes that I have from different people, my friend in Paris, my agent, my editor, all of these different ideas and thoughts that they've given me. So what I did was I spent an afternoon, a couple of hours, and I made a revision plan. And first of all, the revision plan is, how am I going to fit this into my life? Once a week, I'm going to have a 3-hour novel writing session. I'm going to free write on my subjects. I've got writing dates with David where we sit and write together. A couple of books that I want to read to help. Van Gogh's Bad Cafe, which is another time travel book, and writing the breakout novel. So what I did was I took all of these suggestions and I put them into a list. These are suggestions about craft. I cut the mundane. How am I going to do that? So then I took each thing, increased the suspense. The flashbacks need to be condensed. So I took each of those suggestions and then I said, how am I going to do that? And I brainstormed ideas, different ways that I'm going to actually take that advice and implement it. So I've done that for each of the suggestions. I've got a section for ideas that other people have that I'm not sure I want to follow. So I'm going to decide which ideas to explore, let the other ones go. I have a list of free writes because there's some new material that I need to write. I have a pack of multicolored index cards that I may use to map the whole story out. And I've got my notebook that I'm using. There's Sylvia Beach on the cover. If I have a clear plan with how to do this, do this, do this, it helps a lot to release the emotion that I might feel, the fear, the insecurity. Can I do it? Or how do I do it? What do I do? Any confusion is all gone. And when I go to do my work on the novel, I know exactly what section I'm starting, and I do that. Right now I'm just going through the entire book with a green marker, and I'm making edits on the page as I go, and brainstorming ways to develop plot and develop things that are missing. So it's laborious, there's a lot here, but I find that having this plan and being able to take all the inspiration I got from Paris and all the feedback I got from different people, putting it into a document that I can then go through and check off, that's helped me in the past, and I'm hoping it's going to help me now. So wish me luck!